Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, we have our work cut out for us. First things first is I've got another idea on how to fix this colossal mess. I think the loop system that we have working is going to need a retrofit. So I have another design idea. It's going to involve snaking the water and the gas back and forth, and it'll only dump off heat if it's requested. So I think we might be able to make this work. I don't know. It's going to take a small retrofit of this area, which is good because I want to get back in here, add some more water. I might try to get some of our gold back because we used entirely too much gold here, and now we're pretty much out of gold. So we got some stuff to do. I mean, each one of these is 800 kilos of gold, and I want some of that back because we're down to 190 kilos and only 1600 kilos of gold amalgam. Also on the docket is a proper industrial zone. Right now, this has been our metal refineries. You can see this water is getting up to 30. It's as low as 28 over here, but it'd be better to be able to refine metals and everything with a lot more efficiency. And also, I think if we do a steam industrial area, we might actually gain more power. And while we're not hurting on power, apparently you still can't click on the wires yet. We're not hurting on power per se. We're not exactly doing phenomenal either. We produce 6.39 kilowatts, and we're using off and on, I would say an average of probably 4.5. So it works, but you can see like these batteries are getting pretty low during the night and before they start kicking back up. And right now they're still kind of static because we're drawing more than we're actually producing. So we have some work to do. Let me see what we're going to start with first. So I was trying to figure out a good spot for our industrial area. I want it to be close to our fire pole so it's quicker for the dupes to get home and then to the industrial area as quick as possible. I was looking at this area here. It is co-located around our house and the greenhouse. It's not a bad area. It'd have to be a little longer of an industrial area instead of tall. It's not too shabby. The other unfortunate thing, we might have to double up on the power transformers on this side because all of these are being used. Most of these are being used here, yeah. So it's got some advantages, though. It's really close in location. We're also going to be getting rid of this whole main base thing. We don't need it anymore, and we've just been kind of holding on to it. But I think we can finally deconstruct it. Let me build out the shell. Okay, this is a pain in the butt because they keep deconstructing the tiles because I'm telling them to deconstruct the tiles, and they leave themselves without nowhere to go. I probably should have done it one level at a time instead of the mass deconstructing commands that we've made, but this will be fine. So every once in a while we have people, you know, making messes, but this will eventually be all fixed. Now he's gonna fall. Yeah, and he fell a long way. He grabbed a ladder, and now he's heading back home. See, it's all working out. And I just have to clean the pee out of their suits. This works. Okay, so we have multiple projects going on. We got this cleanup here going. We got the redoing of this temperature control system over here. And now we're going to start our sort of industrial zone-ish. And you may be wondering, well, Echo, I thought you said we're going to space. Well, we are going to space. It's probably not this episode, and it's because we need a proper industrial area to be able to refine the materials we need to actually get a nice space program going. So with that, I think we're actually going to have to start with a couple of liquid locks to get in and out of this guy. Unfortunately, if we want to make it steam, water is not going to do, so I think we're actually going to have to use some of our crude oil. Luckily, we go up here. I've been collecting a little bit. Yeah, it's very little. It's just what's been sitting in the containers. So we will use that and the crude oil we've been collecting over here. And we'll make do. In fact, I'll keep sweeping this up so we have a little bit more to put into our little liquid locks. Okay, here's our basic setup. This is the perimeter of our industrial area. We're going to have a little double airlock here. We're going to use oil. We're going to suction out all of the gas, so there'll be no oxygen. And then we're going to fill it with some hot, steamy water. And kind of the hot box sauna industrial brick. This was popularized by, once again, Francis John. He's got plenty of videos on some of the detailed caveats of it, but basically the long and short of it is you just keep this entire area just really hot with steam and steam turbines on the top, keep it regulated and provide some power. If you're ever running low on heat, you just get back in there, you refine some more metal, produce some more glass, etc., etc. We also have made sure we've got enough power transformers here on the side because, as you know, your industrial areas need plenty of power because of the metal refining and those sorts of things. Now that we have the basic shell of the industrial zone finished, it's time to set in the liquid locks. You know the system that I use. I throw a couple of drops of crude oil in here, and then I delete these tiles, and what should happen is you get 3 little blobs of oil, and it's perfect amount to be able to make sure that nothing's going to escape, and that it'll maintain itself as a vacuum. So as soon as they put some oil in here, we'll show you how that's done. Now to get the oil, I think it's time to probably set up a little tank here. And we can use this guy, and that way whenever we need some, we'll always have it to come get. So what we do is we're going to throw a 3-tile wide little tiny tank. And you put the little vents right here on the bottom, and that way it'll never overflow. Right across from there. And then we finish it off with a small pitcher pump right here. We better make sure we don't finish off this pipe until we get these bricks in, so we'll wait a second before finishing those off. Why are we building everything in sedimentary rock? You are just wrong. Thank you. And just like that, our little vent will start spitting out some crude oil, and as soon as it gets to be 1 tile high, this vent will shut off, and we'll have a permanent little spot where we can have some nice little crude oil. All right, Frankie's about to throw a little bit of oil. We don't want much, so as soon as this is on, we are going to uncheck it. Oh, luckily it was only a tiny bit anyways. Perfect. And now we can do the same here. And Frankie's back with some more oil. Just a smidge, if you will. Thank you, sir. And that should be enough right there. And then we just deconstruct this tile. And it drops perfect. And here's our vacuum plan. We have 6 gas pumps going in. Accidentally made them out of steel, but we're doing okay in steel right now. And we're going to deconstruct these anyway, so it doesn't matter. But all the gas pumps going in, they each have their own little vent. High pressure vent, of course, because they would quickly run out of sufficient air pressure in here and nothing would happen. So yeah, everything's going to be vented out and we'll have a beautiful vacuum in here. It takes a little while. We'll check back in once they are done. All right, slight mess up here. You notice that because these gas pumps are in line, this gas pump can't throw down. Whereas if we lower it just a smidge, and there I go making gas pumps out of steel again. Much better out of copper. If we lower it just by even 1, when there's like gases, they'll combine. As you can see now, both pumps on each line are working just fine. We're almost done here too. And here's where it really gets sweet. The vacuum is just about complete. can see the last few drops of the gas just kind of disappear. Same thing with up here. And we are vacuumed. Beautiful. Now we can go rip all these gas pumps back out, recover some of that steel, and then start putting in some awesome machines in hot water. With all the projects we have going on, it starts to make sense that we need our dupe labor to go elsewhere other than our sort of grub fruit farm. So we've automated this process. Fairly simple design. We have auto sweepers throughout. Each auto sweeper can hit one of these centrally located storage bins that's holding sulfur. So now when the plant needs its sulfur, the auto sweeper will be able to deliver it. Additionally, whenever the plant is uprooted and grub fruit comes out, the auto sweeper will scoop up the grub fruit, put it on this conveyor loader. Well, what's even more convenient is we threw down some conveyor rails. They go all the way down here, and into our little kitchen area. So now dupes won't have to do any of this. And to make it a little bit better, to make sure that the dupes truly won't try to prioritize doing it, is we've set all these to 4. So the auto super will take care of it, and dupes will be able to do other things. All right, since we have this all vacuumed out, now the time is at hand to actually build out some of the infrastructure that's going to go in here. We start with some metal refineries and a couple of kilns. We also have our thermo aqua tuner. Now, what's great about this being a giant box of steam is we don't have to throw this thermo aqua tuner into any water or anything. The steam will keep it cool just like everything else. Speaking of the steam, that's the reason why we have the steam turbines here. Now, we don't want the steam turbines to really get rid of all the heat, just enough of it to keep everything in here at a constant temperature, because we want this thing to have a ton of steam. That way it helps equalize the temperature throughout here. So when the metal refinery is cooking some hot steel, it has plenty of steam to be able to dump its heat into. It is something you have to tinker with to make sure you have enough steam in it to make sure your other pieces don't overheat, and that the steam turbines can keep up. To start with, we can't just start these metal refineries in a vacuum. That would be bad news. The metal refineries would keep heating up. Everything would start melting. It'd be bad. So we're actually going to start it with a little bit of steam. Lucky for us, we've got plenty over here. Now, we need to make sure that we only get steam on here, so we will be putting a filter onto it to make sure none of the oxygen that's also sitting here ends up into our perfectly vacuumed area. So let's add that now. I noticed that I built one of the pipes in a place that they can't reach, so we will refinagle some of these pipes. I think we can just go right down here. Perfect. We've also been working on a rather large construction project in here, reworking some of the gas pipes and the liquid pipes. Now, you can see we actually have a good flow coming in and out. So we did a few things different here. Now there is no vent or anything, and there is no pumps in here. The water just keeps getting chilled by this giant block of ice, which will keep this water down nice and low, which will allow the water that's in the pipes to maintain their chill. The same thing goes for the radiant gas pipes here. We needed to make sure that they only use their heat in the sections that we want to. So we've replaced all of the places where the oxygen's going through that we don't actually want to heat up or cool down with insulated gas pipes. So right now the system's actually working a lot better. In the episode that we featured room-specific temperatures, we actually thought about doing this method, but we didn't think we'd be able to maintain the temperatures throughout. But with some of the insulated piping, it's actually working well. You can see the oxygen here is still at 74 degrees. And because this room needs to get warmer, it's only 34 in here. We have this temperature sensor set that if, hey, it's below 40, you need to turn this gas shutoff on. And that way, the hot oxygen comes right through here and starts heating this room up. And by the time it leaves, you can tell the oxygen's already down at 35 degrees. So it really does use a lot of the heat inside the oxygen. Now, lucky for us, most things are not going to need to be heated. They're only going to need to be cooled. That's where we're using the water. The water's coming here at 27 degrees and leaving at 27 degrees. The ambient temperature here is 27. The mealwood's still not growing because these farm tiles are still too warm. And it's because they're sitting next to this hot room. So it might take a while. In fact, we may need to even separate hot and cold rooms by one level, or at least one space over. I'm not sure how we're going to handle this. I want this system to run for a little bit and see if it can actually cool these tiles down. All right, so this method of just grabbing some excess steam and putting it in here is not quite working. It's chilling too much. So we're going to stop it now and just rely on the old water and kiln trick. So we're going to put the kiln down here. We're going to have it keep going. And eventually it'll make some nice steam out of this water. It'll be sitting in the water, so it will heat this up. Now we got to go recollect all of our water. And I say we need to recollect our water because our tank here is getting a little low. The vent's still producing enough steam to give the liquid pump just enough water to be able to keep our oxygen supply going, so I'm not too worried about it. We just used a ton of our water in this system here. And so our levels this time have gotten a little low. It'll work back up. It's just going to take a little while. We'll start this off with, I don't know, 99 refined carbon. And over here we'll do 99 ceramic. And now we have to get to the business of filling all the metal refineries, the steam turbine cooling loop with the thermal aqua tuner. And I think we're actually going to be able to use oil. We have enough oil, I think. I don't know. I know we have enough ethanol, which ethanol will be great for the thermal aqua tuner loop. We just need enough oil to be able to fill the metal refineries. Let me try to figure this out. There are times when you're recording YouTube videos that are just not as pleasant as some other times. And in this case, I had about 10 minutes of footage and was very excited about it. We showed the progress of building all these temperature shift plates in the Y, and then we realized, nope, didn't hit record again. Yeah. All right, so let me back up and rewind and tell you some of the stuff that we've done in the Y. I'm keeping an eye on this ethanol because if it gets too hot, then we're in trouble. All right, so I was starting to fill all these pipes and realized, hold on, I'm forgetting something. We needed a way to maintain the temperature from the top to the bottom. Otherwise, your nice, perfect steam room ends up being a rain room because you'll have too much variance in temperature from one side of your industrial zone to the other. And so this will be too hot up here and it'll have steam, and then this will start raining and back and forth, and so it's never a good thing. Ooh, the rock crusher is overheating. Let's build that out of something better, huh? All right, so that's the reason why we had the temperature shift plates. We compared granite and igneous rock. The great thing about the igneous rock is it had a specific heat capacity of 1.0. So the granite specific heat capacity, think of it as sort of the battery, the how much heat something can hold, is a little bit lower, but its thermal conductivity is almost double. So as an example, here's a piece of igneous rock temperature shift plate, and here is a piece of granite. You'll notice the igneous rock has a specific heat capacity of 1 and a thermal conductivity of 2. This is decent, but think of the specific heat capacity as how much heat it could hold and the thermal conductivity of how much it transfers. But now if you look at the granite, you'll notice it doesn't have quite as high of a specific heat capacity, but it has much better thermal conductivity, the 3.39 versus the 2.0. That's the reason why we chose granite. Now we can get rid of this one. You may have also noticed that we decided to ruin the vacuum, the perfect vacuum we had going, and throw in a couple more gas pumps. It's because we ended up going with some heavy watt joint plates, so we had to break the seal. And we did that. That way we can run our metal refineries and our thermal aqua tuner straight off the heavy watt wire instead of worrying about having a large power transformer everywhere we needed one of these machines. Because remember, the conductive wire can only go up to 2,000 watts, whereas the standard heavy watt can go all the way up to 20. So that's the reason why we threw the heavy watt wire in here. We also have a couple other joint plates in here in case we need it on these levels, but this will work well. Now all we have to do is worry about is making this place a vacuum again, which it's almost done. All right, so for our coolants, we had over 2 tons of crude oil from the limited time that we ranched our slicksters, and it should be perfect for a coolant for in here for our metal refineries. Crude oil can get very hot and still maintain, so it's very good. I'd rather have petroleum, but we don't have petroleum quite yet, and so crude oil will be just fine. Over on our thermoaqua tuner, we need this to get cold, and so we are using some ethanol. Ethanol, if you remember, can go all the way up to around 80 degrees. It's like 78 or something on the high side, but all the way down to minus 114. So as long as this doesn't go over 75 degrees or so, we'll be fine there. Now it looks like we're about good on our coolants. The machines seem to be ready. I'd like to get one or two more drop-offs of the crude oil. Just have a little bit extra, just to make sure these are chock full, and that way they can kind of run continuously. I don't want too much oil sitting there stagnant in the pipes, but I definitely want it to be nice and full, that way we can run them more often. Alright, so this is how we're going to try to make some quick steam, that way we can bring down the temperature in here, or bring up the temperature in here. Now, unfortunately, these temperature shift plates are going to take a lot of heat before they start normalizing at the temperatures we need. With these gas pumps almost done making the vacuum, we'll be able to fire this up, and I'm hoping what's going to happen is we can drop glass in here. The glass will superheat this water. It's molten glass, so the molten glass will superheat this water, make steam, and start in the business of getting these temperature shift plates heated up. And here comes our vacuum now. It doesn't look as cool when you have all the temperature shift plates, because it kind of hides the vacuum, but you can easily see that the vacuum is spreading. The weird sort of mechanics that works in ONI. And done. Look at that. Alright. Let's get rid of these gas pipes now, because it would be bad to start pulling out all of our steam. One good tip too, you want to sweep out all the extra stuff that you have just laying around when you're doing some of these temperature driven projects, because each one of these little pieces actually holds its own temperature as well, so it could throw you off a little bit. It's not going to be by much, but it's enough to where if there's enough debris, you will have a problem. Alright, here goes experiment number 1. Attempting to superheat the room using the glass forge. Batch number 2. It is bringing the water temperature up, but remember, glass doesn't have a high thermal capacity. So in our little thing we were talking about earlier, you can see its heat capacity is only 0.84, and it's such a tiny amount of glass that this 125 kilos of glass is not going to be more than the 170 kilos sitting in that tile. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to sweep this, because what happens when you get cool glass onto hot glass, the game averages it and sort of brings it back down to the temperature of the stack, not necessarily the temperature of the new glass coming in. And here's the example now. Here's the new glass going in, and look, the temperature barely even went up. So we want to make sure that is swept. And now the fresh glass comes back out at 800 degrees. It's only 25 kilos, but every little bit helps, right? Maybe a temperature shift plate would help here. Let's try this. Now that temperature shift plate's installed, let's do another run of glass. This is definitely helping a little bit. You can see the temperature shift plate is going up in temperature, although it is a bit slow. Let me keep finagling with this, see if I can get the temperature up in here. Alright, as much as I like our little per room temperature control, when you're running farm tiles between the locations, it's just too hard. It's too difficult to keep one room cold and one room hot. So I would need a line of insulation, which I could easily put it on the roof here, but I figured we'd just throw up another sort of farm up here. Now this gives us our mealwood. Not that we really even need mealwood, right? We're going to disable auto harvest on all of these. And as we disable auto harvest, as a reminder, some of the things that this little area gives us is these Sweetels. They produce sucrose, which helps keep our sucrose supply up so we can keep making grub fruit preserve. So it's all in the circle of life around here. And we only have 2 Sweetel larvas in here, so we will go ahead and wrangle 6. That should be good. And then all of this can get removed for now. So we do not need these. We'll not need this. And in case you're like, well, you gotta feed the mealwood dirt. That's where these boys come in. The grubs, which we already know our grub fruit plants are on infinite sustainability because of our sulfur. Well, the grubs, when they eat sulfur, which they are getting sulfur from a feeder way down here, they produce mud. We then come and take that mud, we throw it into here, and it produces dirt and water. It's a beautiful symbiotic relationship. All right, so the tepodizer has done a decent job. It at least gets the water and everything going to 85 degrees, but 85 is not where we're trying to go. So we're going to try some space heaters. It may also not work out. Hindsight being 2020, if I had to go back and do this again, I would just put a thermal aqua tuner in there, and it would superheat this water very quickly because, you know, thermal aqua tuners are good like that. We're going to try one last-ditch effort with the space heater and see how that goes. The space heater won't work either because it gives you the low air pressure. It's because we're sitting in a vacuum. I was hoping it would just kind of heat and heat the water. No such luck. That's what our tepodizers are for. So let's break out the ye old thermo aqua tuner. It's going to be a silly little loop, but we won't need it for very long. Thank you for your service, liquid tepodizer. You will no longer be needed. This would also be made easier if our water was just naturally warmer. But, you know, that's one idea. Of course, this water is now at 55 degrees. It's been sitting here so long. All right, here's our superheating thermo aqua tuner. We're just going to dump some chill into the atmosphere outside of our little tank. And lucky for us, we have a little bit of polluted water here. Not as good as the ethanol. Maybe we should use the yes. Let's use the ethanol. And that way we can super chill this area. Now this is gonna be nice. And of course we put the bridge on backwards. So let's go ahead and swap this. I mean, it happens. It happens a lot more often to me than I suspect you, but you know, things happen, right? All right, so we want to dump a lot of chill because we want to create a lot of heat. So why don't we start off with, say, minus 50? So if the ethanol in here is above minus 50, let's go ahead and turn that thermo aqua tuner on. And yes, we put this bridge on in the wrong location. So let me fix this really quick. So if you're wondering what the problem was with the previous loop, it's because the liquid was hitting the bridge here and skipping right over. The bridge has got to be after the loop. So in other words, the liquid's got to go into the thermo aqua tuner, and only if it's turned off will it go through and hit this bridge. And there's our beautiful, beautiful ethanol getting super chilled already. This thermo aqua tuner is increasing in temperature, but there's a lot of temperature shift plates, a lot of water for it to absorb, so it might take us a little bit. In fact, we might need to find some more heat to dump this chill into, otherwise it just won't work either. Let's go find some temperature shift plates. Here we go, some temperature shift plates. This will allow it to absorb a lot more of the chill. Lyra is loving what she's doing. Oh yeah, Lyra. She is definitely sparkle streaking right now. That +8 in athletics doesn't actually help her horrible building. Oh yeah, look at that. She's got a construction speed of -1, but she'll run to get there. And she still didn't finish it. Classic Lyra. All right, so this thermal aqua tuner is going up, but not quite as fast as I'd like it. Let's reduce the chill. Let's say minus 75. Let's make it really cold outside. You can see there's a massive cold bubble coming out of this. While we're waiting for this thermal aqua tuner to heat up, good news is we have finished all of our tier 3 research, which means there's only, one level of research that we have to do, and that's orbital research. And so I know I keep touting it, but next episode it's gonna have to be to space, because that's where you get the orbital research done. Now, I think that'll bring us into the early end game, right? Because we're gonna start exploring space, be able to get some of those great space materials. We'll really start filling up our greenhouse. It's gonna be very exciting. Okay, I think we've managed to bug it out, because this glass is stuck at 1,000 degrees, which would obviously cause all this to go absolutely nutty. Right now, what's happening is all these temperature shift plates have to come up in temperature. So this is definitely going to take a month of Sundays, because some of these temperature shift plates are still only sitting at 30-something degrees. Now down low, they're sitting at 90 or something, which is good. But this thermal aqua tuner will keep doing its work until this whole thing is filled with steam. So, of course, one of these pipes broke, and so it let some ethanol gas end up in here. So we're going to wait for all this to kind of calm down. We're going to stop injecting so much heat, and that way we can mop up the ethanol. Alright, so there is a weird deletion mechanic that I'm not going to say mechanic, it's probably a bug. Remember all the ethanol gas we had? Well, I noticed that the water was disappearing too. There's no steam, no water or anything. So we've actually tapped in to this beautiful steam vent here, and we're going to have all sorts of access to some more water. That way we don't have to tap into our oxygen supply. But when I came back here after this water was coming in, there is absolutely no ethanol to be found, which is good, because ethanol is bad. Water is good. So now we can kick this thermal aqua tuner back on. Let's not get as aggressive this time. Let's say minus 75. But yeah, all the water was gone, all the ethanol was gone. It's like it turned into steam, and because there was such a small amount that it disappeared. So I realized I may have said that the Sweetels are eating mealwood. They don't eat mealwood. They just eat sulfur, hence the reason why there's these critter feeders here. I'm not sure. I'll look at it in editing. But just to clarify, no, they eat sulfur, hence the reason why the critter feeder is. This is just our nice mealwood display. Unfortunately, they don't look like great mealwood because we're not harvesting them, because we don't need mealwood. So we're just letting them slowly grow at a normal speed. So now that this one has wilted or whatever, somebody will come by and plant another mealwood, which it gives these Sweetels something to do too, because they like to Sweetel tend. Just all a part of our beautiful greenhouse display. Alright, so we've set up sort of a backup tank. This is the other steam vent way over here. We're not going to use it very often, but if there is ever a time that we just need a fresh supply of water, this is it. It's turned out pretty good. We're not even going to temperature control it. We're just going to let, nature do its thing. Eventually, this steam will condense, make some water. Right now, I'm pumping up our other tank with our oxygen supply just to get it at a good level. That will definitely give us a sort of safety net. It's happening again. Maybe second time's the charm? Yeah, this glass is really starting to heat up. So is the thermal aqua tuner. Everything's really starting to cook in here, and you can see all that beautiful water becoming some hot steam. Slowly but surely. Like I said, we have a lot of temperature shift plates to heat up. Okay, so it's not going quick enough for me. I mean, we just hit Cycle 800. This is getting ridiculous. So we're going to exasperate the issue by putting space heaters over the radiant pipes. So basically, we're trading power for heat, and that'll heat these radiant pipes back up and keep this thermal aqua tuner going for longer. In other news, look how much cooling this one aqua tuner has provided. It's all the way out here, and it's at, minus 10. it goes all the way down to like -10, and over here it's getting colder and colder, enough towards breaking more pipes. So this might be the answer. We'll see. We have steam! It looks like most of the industrial zone is now turning into that nice steam, which is beautiful because these steam turbines are now providing even more power to our base. So, you know, while the industrial zone does definitely cost power between the thermo aqua tuner and the metal refineries, you know, you're definitely giving back with the steam turbines. We have this thermo aqua tuner now going, and it's staying right now around 170, which is plenty safe. The only thing I'm keeping an eye on is the crude oil coming out of here from the metal refinery cooking up our steel, and it looks like it's staying steady around 230, 240, which is plenty beautiful. Oh, but yes, look at this. We still got a little bit more work to go, but this is definitely on the way. Now see all these temperature shift plates, they're getting heat up, so that way we won't have the rain problem. Look at this. Absolutely gorgeous. It took a month of Sundays, I will admit. But we finally have it. And this should be really pressurized. Right now we're at about 12K worth of steam. Wanted a little bit higher than that, and that's why we got still a little bit more water in here. We'll keep these metal refineries going for a little bit too. But this is what it takes. Now we have the industrial capability we're going to need to build our spaceport. And that's what's coming up next. I hope you had fun. It took me 2.5 days, so I apologize for not getting a video out yesterday. And then the day before that was Father's Day, so it's been pretty hectic. But this one episode has probably taken me 6 hours of recording time, just with all the changes and the mishaps and everything. So I hope you enjoyed it. I know I did too. Talk to you soon.